Hi everybody, this is Kristen from A Voice and a View, here to do another video, and I hope you're all doing well out there and doing some work on yourselves, some shadow work, healing work, and going in and opening up your chakras, looking at your wounds through meditation, seeing them, feeling through them, through your emotions, and letting them go, and doing this one by one. And this is how we heal, one person at a time. So I hope you're doing some of this work out there, and all my videos are for this purpose. And I hope a lot of people are doing this. I don't know how many people are, but just hearing this information might trigger something in you to help you heal from a lot of your childhood wounds or some of the trauma that you've had in your life. And I've done this myself, so it really helps. And today's healing lesson is called Karmics. And the reason I chose this topic because we've all been karmic at one time or another in someone's life, whether you realize that or not. Through reincarnation, our souls pick the journey. We decide what we want to experience down here. And with this human experience, we choose paths that help our soul grow, to help expand our awareness of how the world works or what we want to experience for ourselves. And that's why you never want to judge someone, because that person might have wanted to experience being homeless, or just to experience what that feels like. And they might not realize that journey, but we pick our journeys, guys. Detail by detail, before we reincarnate, before we come down here and experience the human experience on this planet. So yes, we've all been karmic in someone's life, and I want to explain what a karmic is. And a karmic is someone that comes into this experience to help elevate another soul. Okay? So they will challenge that soul. They will put a lot of things in front of them for them to see, a lesson they need to learn, or, it could be anything. But that soul is sent in to help that other soul experience, what they want to learn, what the other person wants to learn. So that other soul is going to challenge them in every way. And it could be certain things, it could be a lot of things, it just depends on the person. And sometimes two souls are sent in together, and they will trigger each other back and forth to grow, for their soul's growth, to evolve, to understand more about themselves, what they wanted to experience down here, what they wanted to learn. And but yeah, sometimes souls are sent in together, and everyone's experience is different. And actually, some souls follow other souls through lifetimes, guys. It's very true. And it could be anybody that you're in your experience with. Could be family, could be friends, When you understand the spiritual realm, that the spirit, the spiritual realm is a lot more important than it is down here. Okay, and that's why you have to have a connection and have both for balance. But when you understand the spiritual realm, you understand more of how it works down here. And you are in a balance. And when you go through this process of healing, and like I mentioned in the beginning of the video about opening up your chakras, balancing your energy, healing your internal wounds that you've accumulated over your lifetime, you heal those one by one through meditation, through grounding, because that helps your nervous system. That actually helps balance your hormones out. That does a lot of things. Doing that, being in nature, all these things that help you on your journey of healing. But karmics are there for two purposes. One is because that was what you wanted. That's what you wanted to learn. And so that other person was sent in to help you grow. And two, it also helps them learn. Okay, it helps them learn lessons. It helps, it's like a give and take. And if you're just looking at that other person as being, bad or whatever, that other person did to you is just a one-sided deal, that's not true. Because it's always two parties. It's always both. When you're working with two separate souls in an experience together, it's always both. And so both have to take accountability for their actions, in that relationship, in that experience. And, that other person is put in there to trigger you, to trigger what you need to learn, and to learn your lessons and learn from karma and, all of the things that I talk about. But sometimes, karmics, they don't connect with the spiritual realm. They kind of take life in their own hands, and they may not believe in God. They may not associate with, what I'm talking about God and spirit and angels and ancestors, spirit guides, everyone that is there to help you on your journey. They might not believe in that. They might not have gotten to that point in their journey where they believe in a higher power. And they might believe in the opposite power. Guys, there's dark and light. So depending on the situation, they might believe more in the darkness than the light. And sometimes when that happens, they might go too far in their experience towards that other soul. I had to move because the light was coming in. Sometimes they might go too far and get greedy and they might not believe in what you believe, and they won't understand that they can attract abundance by going through this process instead of doing things towards you that are pretty dark. But yeah, they might not believe in God, and they've veered off their path. But sometimes they can, get lost, a lost soul. Someone that can't see the bigger picture. someone that is only looking at themselves and what they can gain or how they can look better. You know, there's a lot of different reasons for the way people act and what they do, but a lot of the times it's from a childhood wound that they have not healed yet, that they have not looked at within themselves and taken accountability. You know, even though they may not have been in charge of what happened to them, they might not have had any control over what happened to them. But growing as a soul, it is everyone's responsibility to heal from those situations. Oh, there's the light coming in, guys. It's confirmation. But it's everybody's role down here to heal from what they've experienced and to grow from it. And if they haven't done that, you know, they might not be able to see through all the darkness that they've experienced. And it's a hard situation, but you have to look at what happened to that person. You know, what experiences did they go through? And a lot of the times, they have not healed from that traumatic event, and they're still in that mind frame. They're still in that wounded area of their life that they haven't healed from, and their actions towards others will reflect that. And when you don't do this work, when you don't do this healing work, and you stay in that mind frame and you stay in that hurtful energy, that negative energy, and I call it devil energy because you have not ascended through the lower chakras up into the higher chakras, into your heart chakra and above. When you stay in that mind frame, you stay in that hurt energy and you take it out on others. And you bring others into your problems, and a lot of the times you can stay in victim mentality. And some people might want attention from you know, they like the attention. They like feeling like the victim. But a big part of this process is healing from all of that, and you come out of the victim mentality. And you take a look at yourself in the mirror and examine yourself, and you start healing from everything that you've been through. And then you don't take it out onto others, and it doesn't domino effect onto others. But karmics are there to help you learn lessons, to help you experience life down here in a different way. Because when you go through trauma, and this is for everybody, when you go through trauma, it helps you grow, whether you realize that or not. We need the darkness in our lives to help us learn lessons and to grow, to evolve, to expand our energy. You know, I've mentioned this before. It like cracks your heart open to let the light in, to understand more about yourself. It gives you strength. It helps you in so many ways. Helps you see a bigger picture. You know, you'll find a lot of people that go through a lot of trauma, they will be very humble because they've experienced some crazy things, and they don't want others to go through all that. And they will have more compassion. They will be more understanding, more kind, and understand more of the power of their words, the power of what you put onto others and how that creates a domino effect. And not just that, but that will come back on you. That comes back onto yourself as karma. So everything works together. Okay, and if you're wondering, sorry my camera's all over the place, guys, but when I have my camera down at the light, you can't really see me. Everything works together, but if you're wondering why you're going through something tragic or experiencing something in your life, and you're like, oh, I'm having bad luck and complaining and so tired of this, so tired of that, you're going through that for a reason. And it's to help your soul grow. And like I said before, I had lipstick on my teeth. Like I said before, you create your own experience before you reincarnate down here, guys. So a lot of what you're going through is what you wanted to experience. You wanted to go through that challenging time to help you learn, to help your soul grow. So when you're going through something and you're asking God, why are you putting me through this? Well, you probably asked for it. The darkness cannot work without the light, and the light cannot work without the darkness. So you're not going to have 100% life of light, guys. You're going to have both, because everything is balance. And everybody in your life is there for a reason, there to teach you something and to examine yourself on what you're not seeing about yourself. You know, are you speaking up for yourself? Are you respecting yourself? Are you not respecting yourself? You know, there's so many different reasons why someone comes into your life, but there's always a reason. There's no coincidences, ever. And everyone is there to teach you something. But karmics are there for multiple purposes. And they're there to help you expand your mind, help you understand more about yourself, about how things work, you know, what you want to do in the future, if you've experienced something and something you don't want to do again. You know, there's so many different reasons. But we've all been karmic in someone else's life, or in another lifetime. And we have experiences, guys, over and over again. We reincarnate over and over again. And we have different roles, depending on, so many different things. But you've got to look at life as everything around you is a tool. Okay? There's so many tools around you to help you learn. Everyone is teaching you something about yourself, something to help you grow, and hopefully you take those lessons and learn from them. And your soul wanted to experience this, your higher self. That's one important thing you can say, guys, on this journey is, I am my higher self, your soul. And your higher self is right there waiting for you to learn a lot of your lessons and get through karma and go through this healing process of letting go of all the layers that you accumulate on yourself through hardship, through struggle, through all these things that you go through in your lifetime. Okay, but it all leads back to you. And how much you can grow from everything you've gone through. Because everything that you go through, guys, makes you stronger. It strengthens your soul. The more you learn, the more you ascend. And it's amazing, guys. The more you learn from yourself, the more lessons you learn, the more you understand about how this process works and who in your life is involved in your soul's growth. And stop blaming everybody around you for your actions. You know, this is not just your journey. It's everyone's journey. Yes, you need to pay attention to yourself through self-love and care and looking at yourself in the mirror and reflecting and all that. But we are all connected in the spirit. We are all souls connected. We are the divine collective because we are all connected with God, because we are all children of God, and we are connected in the spirit. And when you go through this healing process, you will realize that you have abilities. Going through the chakras and going on this Christ consciousness journey. Okay? We are all connected. Like when someone yawns, everybody else yawns around you. It's the example I give because it makes sense to everyone. You know, everybody's wondered why everybody yawns around you when you yawn. It's always been one of the big questions that nobody can answer. But this is why, because we are a collective. So take a minute today and examine yourself and examine the people around you and what everything in your life is trying to teach you and whose roles are in your life. What experiences you're going through now and who in your life is involved with that in your soul's growth and what they're trying to teach you. Because everything's a mirror. Everything that you're experiencing has something to do with your outdoor or your outside world. Look in the mirror. Think mirror. Everybody in your experience, think mirror. This is how we grow. This is how we learn. This is how we evolve. Through this great awakening journey, through this ascension process, because the more you work on yourself, the more you ascend. The more your frequency rises. Everything is frequency and vibration. And when you haven't learned the lessons that you need to learn, you're going to stay stuck. You've got to get through the lower chakras, the devil energy. Okay, because we all create our own worlds. You can come out of that devil energy and rise higher. Okay, because if you don't learn the lessons you're supposed to in this journey, you're going to have to come back here and do it all over again. This is important. It's an important message. You know, I come on here almost every day. I try to do it every day. But I do this because right now it's extremely important for you to start this journey of healing. The more you work on yourself, the more you go within through meditation. Look at everything you've gone through. Look at one experience at a time, one trauma at a time. Re-experience what went on that day or, whenever that happened, you got to relive it. Look at it. Feel through it, through your emotions, through your tears. Let it go. And this is how you heal, one thing at a time. But I just want to, explain about karmics and why they are in your life, and that there's always two parties. And sometimes a karmic might not have gone through enough healing. And, it cause problems in someone else's life. But they are there to help you learn. They are there to help you experience what you wanted to experience for yourself, for soul's growth. But we all need to challenge ourselves to do better, because the better we do, one by one, the more we all evolve in this ascension process. So I hope you learned a little bit today, that you're not just here just to do your day-to-day, guys. There's so much more to this plane. It's pretty much like Earth School. Look at everything like it's like you're down here at school, because that's basically what it is. Everything is about you, but at the same time, it's about everybody else, because we're all connected. So focus on how you can do better, and you will see the world change around you, and your outside world will change in a better way. And the more healing you do, the higher you rise through this Christ consciousness journey. And you got to have a connection with God. And once you go high enough, you will start to understand a lot more about how the spiritual realm works and what works down here, how it works down here. But you got to have both. You got to have a balance of both. Because everything is balance. Everything is a transfer of energy. Light and dark. Everything is connected. And if you don't have balance, then you don't get the help you need. You're going to be down here struggling through your life and not understanding that you can get out of that energy. You can grow higher. Look up on YouTube how to open up your chakras and start balancing out your energy. Clear your energy daily. Learn about affirmations, the I am affirmations. Get out in nature as much as possible. And I know it's a challenge right now with the winter. But God is everywhere out there in the natural world. And the more you're alone, the more it helps you. You got to get away from the noise of your everyday lives and start your awakening journey. But again, guys, we've all been karmic in someone's life at one time or another. And they're there to help us learn. But at the same time, sometimes they can veer off their path and go too far, with their life purpose. And they may not have found God, but now's the time to do it. Okay, guys, I hope you understand a little bit more today about karmics. And that's it for the lesson today. And I hope you all have an incredible day out there. Stay warm, stay safe. This is Kristen from A Voice and a View. Peace, love, and light, guys. Bye. Love you all.